Welcome to the TJ Mauldin Leadership Podcast, where we talk about life, leadership, and the gospel.
Hey, welcome to the TJ Mauldin Leadership Podcast. This is Season 3, Episode 43. I cannot believe we have been doing this for 3 years. This is the start of the third season, third year, and I have missed y'all. Can I just be real honest? I have missed sitting, getting to talk and hang out with y'all, and just spending some time thinking about life, leadership, and the gospel. And that's what we always say, right, around here, is that we're going to talk about life, leadership, and the gospel. So today, first let me say this: how good, if you're watching, you see how good this new suite looks. But if you're listening, let me tell you, back in the day, there was a brick wall, right? It was very retro, right? Like very unsigned and organic, all right? And now we have this beautiful lighting and new paint on the walls and some bookshelves. It's kind of incredible. So anyways, big shout out to the team for making this happen and putting everything together, especially our producer Lindley, and Kenny from Miller Boardworks. He actually created these shelves and hung them behind me, so huge shout out to him. He's our sponsor for episode 43 of season 3. So today, listen, I want to talk about something that's really important to me as a leader, as a dad, as a husband, as a person, and that's what to do when the wheels fall off. Have you ever been in the middle of a conversation or in the middle of an activity or just doing something and things just go sideways, right? Like this has happened to me. I have literally hundreds of examples from my life where I've been in the middle of a job or a task or even some of my hobbies like fishing or hunting, or in the middle of a conversation and relationship, and the wheels have just fallen off, right? And it seems like things crash and burn. I had this moment the other morning where my son Cam, he's 8 years old, he was getting ready for school, and he turned over our dog's water bowl. And so water kind of goes all over the kitchen floor. He gets really bent out of shape, really sad. He starts crying even. He's like, "Dad, I can't believe I messed this up." And it was just, the wheels had fallen off our morning routine. And in that moment, I just kind of grabbed him, looked at him, and I said, "Hey, Cam, I know this is a bad moment, but you can still have a good day. I know this is a bad moment, but you can have a good day. Like, we can still have a good day. Like, no, like all we got to do is clean this up and everything's going to be fine." And it was in that moment that was the birth of this podcast, because I thought, man, how many people including myself, allow those little moments to steal their whole day. Those brief moments of mess up or mistakes to steal their whole relationship, or to steal their joy in their hobbies, or to steal their passion in their work and their job. So maybe the question is this then, right? Like, if that's true, if the wheels have fallen off, if it's my relationship, my job, my ministry even, right? Pastors, you're having a rough week, youth pastor, worship leader, you're having a tough go with volunteers. How can things still be good if some of the moments are bad? Well, I'm glad you asked. You control what you can control. Like, my first point, if I was going to break this down in 3 points, it would simply be this: gain control of what you can control. Be proactive in thinking like this: what can I do right now with what I have to make this better? And think about that morning, just yesterday or day before, when Cameron spilled the water. What could we do right then to salvage the moment? Well, I grabbed some paper towels, turned the water bowl back over, filled it back up with water, and cleaned the floor. Right? There were some things that I could control in that moment to make the moment better. So ask yourself, if you have a moment where the wheels are falling off around you, or in the middle of something that you're doing, what can I do right now with what I have to make it, whatever it is, better? Be proactive. And the best way, I love what Abe Lincoln said. He said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. So are there things that I can do now to create a better outcome in an area that seems to be weak or struggling? So you think, okay, TJ, well, what can I control? Well, this is a certainty. This is a guarantee. I cannot always control the outcome. I can't control what other people do. I can't control other people's opinion of me, but I can control my attitude. I can control my effort. I can control the choices that I'm making, the actions and the reactions that I have, right? Like there are things in our lives that we can control. So I'm going to put forth effort. I'm going to try to maintain a positive attitude. I'm going to make sure the choices that I have align with my character and who I want to be and the outcome that I hope to happen. So all of these things I can control. So I'm going to take my eyes off of the things that I have no control over, and I'm going to be proactive in the areas that I have some control in. So that's the first thing. I'm going to gain control of what I can control. The second thing is this, and this one is probably even more difficult than the first one, but this one has been really, really beneficial in my life. And this one is to reflect and learn. This is really 2 points in 1 point, but you get what I'm saying. Reflect. Why reflect? Now, check this out. Usually when somebody makes a mistake, and I've been guilty of this for sure. When someone makes a mistake, the temptation is to avoid it, to sweep it under the rug, to not think about it, to not revisit it. Because sometimes, if we're really honest, some of our mistakes, some of our failures, it's not just like a clerical error, like I misplaced a comma in a sentence, right? Or I miscalculated a math problem. There was a wrong number somewhere. Some of the mistakes that we've made in our lives cause deep pain and are a source of trauma, not just for ourselves, but for other people. So you say, okay, TJ, the wheels have fallen off in my marriage, or the wheels have fallen off in my professional life, and I've made some cataclysmic mistakes, even with my character at times, and maybe I've broken trust, or I've been dishonest, or whatever it is, and you've made some mistakes that it wasn't just a bowl of water being turned over, but it was something much bigger. You say, why should I ever reflect on that? Why not just escape it? Because I truly believe that when we reflect on the mistakes in our lives, now I don't think we should dwell on it in an unhealthy way. I don't think that we should repeatedly relive it in a way that's going to increase trauma. But I think if it's a failure that we took part in, a failure, a mistake that we made due to our own actions, if we reflect on it, it allows us to examine the failure from an objective point of view so that we can know what not to do again. We can reflect and learn, okay, when I took a left here, or when I made this decision, here was the outcomes. And these outcomes are not something that I want for my life and for my future and for my family or for my ministry or for my job. So I'm going to do something differently. See, when we really, truly begin to reflect, we can then learn. So reflection is not for self-loathing or to cultivate some kind of shame in our life, but when we reflect over the things that we messed up or the bowls of water that we spilled, when we reflect, we learn some things like, okay, I'm going to put this in go as simple as that, right? Like I'm going to move this water bowl to somewhere that's not where I walk every single morning, right? Like I'm going to move it to somewhere a little safer. I'm going to make small changes. That doesn't happen if we don't reflect. So I'm going to control what I can control in my life. I'm going to begin to reflect and learn from my mistakes. So I'm going to ask things like, what happened? Why did it happen? How can I keep this from happening again? How can I make sure the wheels stay on this marriage? How can I make sure the wheels stay on this friendship? How can I make sure the wheels stay on my professional life, my hobby, my dreams, my goals, my vision? How do I make sure the wheels stay on? How do I keep the negative things from happening again? Here, I'll say it this way. This is one thing that I think of often is mirrors are helpful, but they aren't windows. All right, I'm going to say that one more time. Mirrors are helpful, but they're not windows. We should reflect, right? Look on the things that have happened, on the things that are behind us, especially, I think it's great to look on the successes in our life, but when we look on the negative moments, we look on the hardship, look on those difficult days, it allows us to see where we can get better, where we can grow and we can change. But mirrors, they can be incredibly helpful, but they are not windows, right? Like they do not allow us to see the future fully. And I've shared this before, I know on this, and definitely in a sermon on Sunday morning. But I said that's I can't remember who said it, but that's why the windshield is such or the rearview mirror is such a small percentage in size comparison. The rearview mirror is small, so small in size comparison to the windshield, because the windshield shows us where we're going, and the rearview mirror shows us where we've been. But the rearview mirror, it's so small that it just allows us to reflect just momentarily, briefly on what's behind us. Because what really matters is what's in front of us, what we have control over, what we can change the outcome of, or at least our input, our effort, our attitude, and our actions is all of the things that are in front of us. So if I'm recognizing that the wheels are falling off of some areas in my life, maybe it's my discipline, my homework, my schoolwork, my job, the quality of what I'm producing, I can gain control over what I can control, and then I can reflect and learn on those moments where I've had weaknesses or failures. And here's the third point. And this is the final point, and this is probably, I think, this is half the battle. Literally in the notes as I was writing this, I put 50% on my notebook as I was scribbling. I was like, just to remind me, like, man, TJ, this moment here, this is the moment that is half the battle for most people, and this is to persevere. See, Proverbs 24:16 says this, "For the righteous falls 7 times, and he rises again, but the wicked stumble in times of calamity." He was like, well, they both fell down, right? Like when that Proverb's talking about the wicked and the righteous, but like one of them falls down and never gets up, and one of them falls down and gets up. Like, what's the motivator, right? Like for me, as a Christian, as a believer, one of those motivators for sure is grace, but I think it's the kindness of God and the love of God allowing me to know that I can persevere. Like this moment might have been bad, but the day doesn't have to be bad. And here's my encouragement for you today, if you're listening. This season may be bad, right? Like the wheels may have fallen off this season of your life, but it doesn't mean your life has to be bad. Right? Like this month may not be the best month ever, but the day can still be good. The month can still be good. The year can still be good. The career can still be good. You might have a few rough moments. You might have a few failures along the way, but the righteous stand up over and over and over. Perseverance is half the battle, getting back up. So let me encourage you with this today. Don't allow your mistake, your shortcomings, some of the problems in your life, even some that you may have created for yourself. Don't allow those things to keep you down. Persevere. Stand back up. I love the way Thomas Edison said it. He said, "I have not failed. I just found 10,000 ways that won't work." And how different would our perspective be? How much more healthy would our perspective be if we recognized in moments of weakness or failure that it's not that we are a failure, it's just that we've walked through some areas that won't work. So we have to reflect. We have to learn, and ultimately we have to persevere. Just do not quit. Even if things have been bad, they can be good. And if this one blip, this moment of your life, and I don't care what it is, it might be your marriage, it might be your parenting, it might be your job, it might be some of your dreams, you've hit a hiccup or speed bump along the way. Listen, just because the moment is bad does not mean the day cannot be good. So I hope you are encouraged. I hope that as you think about what to do when the wheels fall off, that you will examine your life and say, okay, what are the things that I can control? And take control of those things. Take control of your effort and your attitude and your choices and your actions and your reactions. And then examine some of the misses, some of the failures. Reflect on those things. Begin to learn from them. And whatever you do, hear me say this, do not give up. If it doesn't work out today, wake up tomorrow and get back after it. Control the things that you can control. Reflect and learn. And believe that God can turn even the worst days. I've said it like this. I was going to end differently, but I think I'm going to end it like this. God is the only one that can take 1,000,000 broken pieces and make a mosaic of beauty for his glory and for your good. So you may think, TJ, you're talking to everybody else today, but you don't know how many broken pieces this situation is. You don't know how many broken pieces this relationship with my family or my dream is. My dream's laying in 1,000,000 different pieces. Listen, when we put our trust and faith and hope in Christ alone, in God, he is the only one that can take all of those broken pieces and make them a mosaic of beauty for his glory and for your good. So I hope you're encouraged today. Even if you failed, it's not over. Don't quit. Persevere. I love you guys, and I appreciate you hanging out with me and taking some time to spend with me on episode 43, the first episode back for season 3. Listen, if you have questions, if there's a topic that we haven't covered that you want us to cover, I would absolutely love for you to go to TJ Mauldin Leadership Podcast at gmail.com. Reach out to us. Let us know. We would love to cover some of the topics that you guys are thinking about. So we'll see you later.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the TJ Mauldin Leadership Podcast, where we talk about life, leadership, and the gospel. If you enjoyed this episode, share with a friend. For more content, follow us on Instagram and YouTube. If you have any questions you would like to ask TJ, whether it is about life, leadership, or the gospel, you can email those to tjmauldinleadershipodcast@gmail.com. Thank you again for listening, and we hope you join us again on the TJ Mauldin Leadership Podcast.